Hello everyone and welcome to this groovy geometry tutorial series. In this particular tutorial, we will learn about the classes and objects. So let's begin. So when we are learning any programming language, we might have heard about the classes and objects. Now what is class? A class is basically a blueprint for creating objects containing properties which are variables and methods which are functions. Now in Groovy, classes are similar to the Java classes, but they are simpler and more flexible. Now, object is basically an instance of a class containing the actual values for the properties defined in the class. Now, let's learn about classes and objects in detail with the real-time example. So, for example, tomorrow you want to build your house, and obviously you have some parameters in your mind, you have some attributes in your mind. Okay, so you will go to the architect and architect will design an architecture of your house. So how many rooms, the size of the rooms, how many windows you need, where you need a gate. Okay, so all this information will be converted into a architectural design. Now that design is basically a blueprint because it's not an actual house, but based on that architectural design, you can develop a house, the actual house. Now, the benefit here is that once you have an architecture design, so you can create as many houses as you can because you know how many rooms are required, what are the attributes of that house. Okay, in the same way, when a motor company launches a new car, so they create a design or a blueprint for that car. So how that car will look like, what features it will have, how the rims will look like. So once that design has been finalized, so based on that design, they will actually create the car. Now the car is basically an object and that design is basically a class. So we are getting how these classes and objects work. So again, class is basically a blueprint through which we can create the actual objects. Now, what we need to do is that let's go to the JMeter and let's start creating the class and the objects. Now in JMeter, just go to this test plan, right click on this one, go to add, go to threads, go to thread group. And here inside this thread group, again, right click, add, sampler, then JSR223 sampler. Okay, now in order to define a class, so basically we need to use a keyword called class. Okay, so the keyword is basically a class followed by the name of the class. So for example, I'm creating a class and the name of class is person because tomorrow using this class, I will be creating a actual persons. Okay, so I will naming it as person, and inside these brackets basically we will be defining the class. So what this class will contains, like we know that defining the properties, defining the methods. Okay, so let's define the property here. So I will say string string name because we need a name of the person tomorrow. We need the, for example, the age. So age is basically an integer value. So we need a name and age of that person. So now these are basically our variables and these are the properties. Now we also know that we can have the methods or the functions. So let's define a function with a def keyword and I'll say show details, and this function will basically print the name and the age. Okay. So what I'll do is that I'll say print ln and it will print name. Okay, and let me write it properly. So it will print the name, and the name is basically coming through this particular variable string which is name. Okay, so here in order to use this string, in order to use this particular variable, you need to use a dollar sign. So dollar name. And then we need age, and age will be coming from this particular variable defined above. Okay, so again dollar sign and age. Now we have this function. This function will actually print the name of the person and the age as well, and the age and name variables are also defined. Now this is a blueprint. Now this doesn't contains the actual person values. It doesn't contain, for example, if your name is John, so it's not saying that your name is John. That's why it is called as a blueprint. Okay, now based on this one, what we will do is that we will create a actual person from it. So in order to create an actual person, we need to create a object of the class. Okay. So how we can do is that simply we said that person one is equals to new is a keyword followed by name of the class with the small brackets. So name of class is person, and here person with the small brackets. Now using this variable person one, so we say the name of the person one is equals to John, and similarly person one dot age is equals to, so the age is, for example, 26. Now using this so this is a blueprint, and this blueprint contains the properties and function, and based on that we actually created a actual object from here, right? Now once the object has been created, then what we need to do is that the third thing is that to call the object. So when we call the object, and basically what I'll do is that I will say person one dot show details. Because why I am doing this here, because this function is basically printing the values, right? So now let's run this one and see what happens here. So it should print the values in the console. So let's go to the console over here, and you see that the name John and age 26 is printed over here, right? Now we have just created a single object, but we know that the purpose is that we can create as many objects as we can, right? So what I'll do is that simply let's create a person 2 or person 3 using this one. Okay, and let me copy all this, and let me scroll down and paste it over here. So instead of person 1, person 2, and I'll say testing Fanta and age 30. So let's say age 30. So this is the name and age of the second person. And again here it would be person 2, and person 2. Now let's run this again and see what happens. And if I go to the console over here, so you see that name John, age 26, and the second one is testing Funda, age 30. So we can create as many objects we can create. So this is the idea of using the classes and objects. Just have a blueprint, and based on that blueprint, create the actual objects as many times as you want. Now, what are the key takeaways from this? So Groovy classes are really simple, just like you see that this is a very simple class with the properties. These are the properties, and this one is the functions or the method. Now, objects are created by simply using the new keyword followed by the name of class in small brackets. Okay, and we can create multiple objects and set values for them individually. Thank you so much for watching this tutorial. If you like our content, then do like, comment, share and subscribe our channel. Once again, thank you so much and see you in the next tutorial.